Okay, in this video I'll be sharing with you the part where Asterix and Obelix are now in the market. So we're going to back up a bit. This is the first time we see Asterix and Obelix, and here they are in a market. So they are busy helping Geriatrix get to the tooth puller. They are getting him some help, and all of a sudden there's this palm reader, a Sybil. Now a Sybil, if you go and Google that, oh, my internet's down. I have such terrible service and I'm right in town. I don't know if it's the router or not, but anyway, let's just try again. Okay, so if you go look up a Sybil on Google, Sybil, also called Sibylla, prophetess in Greek legend and literature tradition, represented her as a woman of prodigious old age, uttering predictions in ecstatic frenzy. But she was always a figure of the mythical past, and her prophecies in Greek hexameters were handed down in writing. So you can go research a bit more, but basically this is a lady that had prophetic utterances on behalf, made prophetic utterances on behalf of a god, and this is certainly similar to what she does here. She looks at his palm and then she says, "Oh, I see something heavy weighing on you, great burden." And he says, "Yes, I'm in menhirs, those big rocks." So then she says, so this might be a hint at a Sybil or a channeler or a medium that made some obvious, not blunders, but made some predictions that were very sort of like, oh yeah, we can all see that kind of thing. And here she gets to the place where she's, "Oh, not for long. I see a fine winged chariot. People are carrying you, cheering you. You're being crowned as a champion." Crowned. So here we have this crown thingy. The coronavirus, also corona meaning crown. So there's this theme also developing there between the lines. And then basically, while Asterix is busy taking Geriatrix to the bioethics dental care, he is told to go wander off with dogmatics. Look here. Asterix tells him, "Oh, I'll stay with Geriatrix, you go for a wander with dogmatics." And then he's walking through this market and he sees the pumice and how that's going to influence his trade now because these cheap copies are coming in. And then he gets to this stand where the chariots are sold, and he buys a chariot on credit for 8 times, I don't know how many, 8 times 10 I think, menhirs. So he buys this chariot on credit, and that's where this whole thing happens. So this lady that makes this prophecy, that component, got my wheels turning in the lines of Sylvia Browne making a prediction. I want to make it clear that I'm not endorsing psychics and palm readers. That's not something that I believe in, but I do believe that some of these psychics and palm readers and channelers, etc., have a connection with the prince of darkness that is ruling this planet. And I believe that they all work together, and he will certainly make known parts of his plans. And I think this is what happened with Sylvia Browne. She's saying here, this article, people are starting to talk and wonder about the bold prediction made by psychic Sylvia Browne in her 2008 book called End of Days, Predictions and Prophecies. Prophecies, we saw that Sybil in the Asterix and Obelix, this Greek prophetess that was making this announcement or this prophecy. So here it says that in this book she wrote, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness, pneumonia-like, we saw in the previous videos how bacillus influenza caused this pneumonia-like symptoms in the Spanish flu, and I suspect they certainly will with this current pandemic. it says pneumonia-like illness will spread through the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. So there's this race component coming forth, this charioteer that is just way ahead of them, and they can't keep up with him, and they can't beat him. In other words, they can't find something that is going to cure coronavirus. And then she says, further in this quote, she says, Browne says, almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it has arrived. And we saw that in the previous video I shared with you how this happened. It says here, vanish as quickly as it has arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely. So this is really interesting. Why in 2020, and then she says that it vanishes quickly and then attack again 10 years later. Now let me share this with you as a refresher from the previous video. We have ASTERIX and OBELIX sorting out coronavirus by taking a potion. In my mind, this represents antibiotics, because with this potion he knocks out bacillus, which is in front of coronavirus and the senator. He knocks out bacillus with that potion, and you would think that he's going to knock out coronavirus too. But what does coronavirus do? And what does OBELIX do? When he gets to him, he doesn't knock him out. He doesn't do anything to him. So he just drank this potion, and it's not doing anything to this virus, because he just drank antibiotics, and antibiotics don't do anything to viruses. So then what happens here is he takes his own helmet off, and coronavirus unmasks himself as a big scam, as a big, oh, this is what happened. And they were making sure. It says here, I thought it was all too easy, but how could I be sure? I just drive, Bacillus makes the decisions. So this relationship between bacillus and coronavirus comes out. It says he's planned it all from the start. The mask was his idea. He turned me into this Roman champion, idolized by the masses, and I was weak and I went along with it. So here again, this theme of the hemlock and the killers. The hemlock just makes you weak. The coronavirus just makes you weak, and then the killers get to you when you had the hemlock. So here the coronavirus makes you weak, and then the actual bacteria destroy your life, cause the pneumonia-like symptoms, and causes all the damage. And here he actually says that he has planned it from the start. Bacillus did, and it says the mask was his idea. So really, it's just a mask. It's just it's references being made here back to our hemlock situation. And then it says he turned me into this Roman champion, idolized by the masses, and I was weak. I went along with it. So we'll still see some really interesting developments, I think, with this coronavirus and how it relates to bacteria, and the truth will come out. I believe it will still come out, because here is something that happens now, and ASTERIX and OBELIX, they're telling, he says, but his scheming's gone too far. Bacillus is scheming. It says, I'm giving up the race. I'm going back to my real name. Testosterone, obviously testosterone. So now this guy is going back to testosterone. As far as I was able to tell from Wikipedia, this guy is supposed to represent Alain Prost, French rally driver, or French Formula One driver. And it says here, and heading home to Sicily, where people are open and honest. Lots of detail coming out there. And then Bacillus gets up again, and he's like, you can't do that. What about your beautiful villa in Capri? And then they have this argument. And coronavirus, this weak coronavirus character, mans up and he clobbers old Bacillus over the head, knocking him out again. And then it continues to Senator Bifidus getting away. And we are still on our way to coronavirus's end. So here, coronavirus is now out of the race. And here, they start off with the next leg of the race. And now the media wants to know. Okay, so here they are still at the inn, and they're telling everybody what happened. I'm not telling everybody what happened. Here they are at the inn, and Asterix says, listen, let's continue the race on fair terms. May the best team win. So now that the problem is out of the way, now there's this unification that happens. So here they head out, and they're in the lead. The press are here, they want to know what happened, and they all are chanting Obelix, Obelix. And this is very interesting. This guy says, look, they're the ones who brought down the champion, this Goliath. So they're the ones that came up with the breakthrough research that took away this coronavirus character. It says, I know them. They're Gauls. The fat one's called Obelix. So here it's all smooth sailing again. And then this other chariot picks up its pace and pulls in next to it, and then Obelix hops out and he wheel spins there, and it says here in the next slide, back at cruising speed, the Gauls have managed to secure a comfortable lead. Obviously he picked up the chariot, and then it says here, after about 100 leagues, then they get to this. So now a lot of time, in other words, a lot of distance has passed, and they suddenly see the end. The end is in sight, Mount Vesuvius, and behind it, the finish line. Okay, and then Obelix is now still waving at the crowd about this, like this celebration. They're still remembering, how we cured this virus, or how we got this virus out of the race, in their case, when suddenly this celebration about curing coronavirus takes them out of the race. So totally and gets them out. And then here, they sit and they sulk. And when suddenly there's a chariot on its way, and they say, let's wave it down. To their surprise, coronavirus makes a second appearance, and guess what happens this time? Where is Bacillus now? Obelix says, coronavirus? But I thought he'd given up. Asterix says, and all on his own. I think he wants to defend his honor. So something has happened now that makes it necessary. So the first coronavirus bout that we are experiencing in this pandemic did not, it seems like from the cartoon, it did not accomplish the purpose it was set out to do. So the goal wasn't achieved. Okay, so now there's somebody else on this chariot, and he's alone. So we will see in the end, this is Julius Caesar now, not some hired servant. And the next thing is our lupus character that comes to the front. We spoke about that in the previous video. So here, coronavirus makes its second appearing, and then there's this volcanic eruption, and then the finish line, and he's about to win the race. So coronavirus is about to win this, when suddenly it hits a pothole. So he came to his end by himself, as it were, with none to help him. Very important. He came to his end with none to help him. And then here, Asterix and Obelix pass him. And here Asterix says this. He says, Obelix, my friend, you're actually winning. And then Obelix just turns and says to him, well, isn't that what's meant to happen? A reference back to what the Sibyl told him. I personally believe that Sylvia Browne matches this, but I'm open that there are others that are also into prognosticating, like the Nostradamus and Dean Koontz about it with his Wuhan 400. All of these people that knew ahead of time and that are into these dark arts, it might represent all of them. All of these prophecies that had taken place years ago about this coming pandemic. I will get you in the next video. We will be talking about the one with 1462 victories.